We're going to be doing an example on how to find someone's marriage record. And this image should look familiar from the birth video, as we found Carl Victor's birth. But now we're going to do a marriage. So how do you know when someone got married? So there's a column for that right here, marriage. And this has it listed right here, 1855 when they got married. So in that case, we know that there's a marriage record. So we know that it's 1855, but we don't know the place. So that is going to be the thing we'll have to figure out. So if you want to try to do that, try to figure this out yourself, pause it, come back to this, and then you can check your answers by watching the rest of this video. So 1855. We are in this parish right here. Just kidding. Fooled you. So it is in this book right here, this torp, but it's actually NAS parish. So make sure to be aware of that. That you're looking, make sure you know where exactly you are. So we come to our favorite website, and we get the correct inputs, and here's the parish we want, and we're looking for marriages. Here's our marriages occurred in 1855. Here's the correct book we want. As reviewed in a different video, this right here means that it's found in a different book entirely. So the marriage that we're looking for is actually going to be in this book right here. So I'll just copy this right here. I'll have to remember E1. So we'll come back up to here. We'll search for it and pull up the correct parish for the book that we're trying to find. And E1. Here's E1. And we open it up. And if you're using this website, and this website has what you're looking for, on the left side, there's the handy drop downs right here. So come here, and we come to 1855. Now, this is an interesting one because even though it says that it's for this parish right here, Ilstad, we'll be able to find them in this parish. So this is an example that I had used previously with in the birth video, but right here it's showing where they got married. So even though this says that the marriages are for Ilstad, it's for all three of these parishes. So these are some of the various complications you'll run into, and you just have to be observant, and when you can't figure it out, try to reassess what conclusions you're making, and then make sure that those conclusions are correct. So they were, let's come back to them. Okay, so 1855, the 20-something of something. So let's just look for their names. Here's 1855, and let's see here. None of those individuals. Come here. Here they are, Johannes and Gustava. So that's basics of how to go about finding individuals in a marriage book. Hopefully it'll be very straightforward, where you don't have to deal with these related parishes or ones in complicated in different books or different places. But either way, you'll be able to get to it. Then, of course, we compare information, and so it looks like it was the 23rd, not the 25th of March. Okay, 23rd March. That makes sense. Those look like the same number right there. 23rd of March works. Has their birth dates. We compare them and see that they are the same. So right here it says that they were married in NA, two dots, S. So that is the location where they got married, and that's where you would record where they got married at. When you're looking for the record of individuals who got married, it's important to note that there's a marriage date and there's going to be a banns date. So, for example, with this one that we found just barely, we've got two dates. We've got this January and February 28, 4, 11, and we've got this March 23. So up here, they had written in right here, this is the word for banns. This is the word for marriage. So this right here is going to be when they had done the banns, and this is their marriage date. And so they didn't get married 3 times. They got married once, but the banns happened 3 times. Here's another example of that. If you're looking down for an individual in this book, you might look down, here, okay, here's February 3rd in 78 or 79, 78, I guess. October, anyway, all these different ones like this. But the thing is, that's the banns, and what you want is the marriage. The marriage is over here in this column, and so this date is the one that's going to match the household examination book, not the banns. So make sure to be looking for them in the correct, for the marriage in the correct column. The point in someone's life when they get married can be a tricky spot in research, because sometimes information isn't listed, and it can get tricky figuring out what record to look at next and where to find them and such. So for example, we have this individual right here, Anna Christina, and in the marriage column it says that she got married in this state. So if we were observant, we might notice that it says right here Anders Persson's wife, and we might think, well, that's not very helpful, like let's find more information about that individual. And so either way, when we find the marriage record, so this is that marriage record, it'll have information about where they lived prior to getting married. And so that's this information right here. And so we can use that information to figure out where that individual is. In this case, the individual was just on the same page, just up a few lines, and that's why they just wrote this briefly instead of writing more than that. That's not always the case. If, for example, that they lived in different parishes and then got married, finding the marriage record is going to be the most helpful to figuring out where they lived and where they're heading to if they moved somewhere else. And so some techniques you can use is, like I mentioned, looking at the place where they resided as listed in the marriage record. You can also look in the moving columns, moving from, moving to, and that will give a good hint of of that individual, because if it says they got married and then it says that they moved to a place, if you find them in that next household examination and it has their husband or wife, whichever one you're missing, then you can just look at their spouses when they moved from information and find them that way. So between the moving places of both of the individuals and the information listed on the marriage record, you should be able to sort out where they were, where they lived and where they got married. Additionally, it is very common for the couple to get married where the wife was living or where she was from. So that is something to check. Those will be the go-to places if you're not sure where they got married. After you've looked in the parish where it said they got married in this year, first thing you'd go and you'd check the parish that you're dealing with right then. But it's not necessarily going to be where they got married. As I said, if they are from two different parishes, they can't get married in both parishes where they were living. One of them is going to have to be in another parish that their household examination is not covering. So figuring out where the wife was living or was from is very important. And if to figure out where the wife was from, if she was off on her own, not living with her parents and siblings and working, you may have to trace her back until she's living with her family and then check that parish as well. So between all those different places of where to look should give you an idea of which parishes to look in when trying to find a marriage record, and then which household examinations to look in as well for when they are married or working backwards when they were single.